Hello, hello. We are learning today how to multiply decimals by decimals. The rules are actually very simple and the process is very simple, but I do want my students to understand what's going on first. So let's consider the following examples. We are on page 44. So I'm going to label it. We are on page 44. So let's consider 30 times 0.1. We do know that 0.1 can be written as a simple fraction, 1 over 10. And we understand from all of our experience multiplying by a fraction since fourth grade that to multiply by a fraction technically means to divide into a certain number of equal parts. So 1/10 of 30 is actually 3. Right? So this is almost the same. It is the same mathematically as 30 divide into 10 equal parts, right? Because we're looking for 1/10. So we should understand that 0.1 is the same as to multiply by 1/10. Let's take a look at the example next door. And we will notice that to multiply by 100, we can write it as a simple fraction, 1 over 100. We know that's just a different way to write 1 over 100. And we've multiplied by a unit fraction since fourth grade. This skill is familiar to us. It is the same as 30 divide by into 100 equal parts. And of course, the answer is 0.3. Let's take a look at again on the left. We are now multiplying a smaller number, 3. What is 1/10 of 3? Well, 1/10 of 3 is 0.3, right? And let's take a look at this. Multiplying by 100 is the same as to multiply by 1 over 100, or what is 1/100 of 3? And we do know it's 300, and here was 0.3. And finally, using the same method, using the same logic, let's take a look what it's like to multiply. Notice, my friends, we keep taking a smaller number. 30 times 0.1, 3 times 0.1, and finally 3/10 times 0.1, right? So let's do the final pattern recognition. What is it like to multiply 0.3 or 3/10, right? We can write 3/10 times 1/10. And guess what? We know how to multiply this, right? From our experience in fourth grade. 3/10 times 1/10 is 300, or we can write it using decimal notation, because to multiply by 1/10, we can write it as a simple fraction. So to multiply by 1/10 is the same as to divide by 10. To multiply by 1/10 is the same as to divide by 10. To multiply by 1/10 is the same as to divide by 10. Similarly, to multiply by 100, 0.01, is the same as to divide a number into 100 equal parts. To multiply by 100 is the same as to divide by 100. To multiply by 100 or a fraction is the same as to divide the number into that denominator of equal parts. Let's take a look at the pattern. So let's look at a different example right here below. Let's take a look. We are now multiplying not 3 or 30 or 0.3. Let's multiply 4.62. 4 and 62 hundredths times 0.1. My friends, I do know that you probably remember from 1 minute ago that that means to find 1/10 of a number or to divide by 10. That means 4.62 will become 10 times smaller. 10 times smaller than 4.62 is 0.462 or 462 thousandths. Notice what's happening with the decimal point. We had an original location and a decimal point shifted to the left, making the number 10 times smaller. Take a look. We had a decimal point 30.0, and when we took a 1/10, we got 3. Decimal point shifted one place to the left. We had 3 wholes or 3 units, 3, and when we took 1/10, the number reduced 10 times, giving us 0.3. And finally, when we took 0.3 and multiply that by 1/10, which is same as reduce the number 10 times, right? Divide by 10. we got, instead of 3/10, we got 3/100. The decimal point shifted one place to the left. I hope instead of memorizing this rule, you understand why when you multiply by a decimal, you're actually getting a smaller number, because you are essentially